If you have a sales team, you're probably wondering, I'd love to understand what the best do so I can teach it to the rest. Now, it's likely if you're the CEO or the managing director or the sales director, you get a gut feel for this. But wouldn't it be nice if you could measure this really specifically and get some honest answers to these questions? That's where Luminous Sales comes in, because we can measure sales effectiveness against 24 sales qualities, because we measure those 24 sales qualities across your sales team and then compare it to sales revenue. So we know exactly what qualities make the biggest difference in terms of generating revenue. So this is an example of exactly how this works. Here's a table of 7 salespeople on the left. We've got their revenue on the right, which we block both of these out, the salespeople and revenue, to keep this confidential. But we're measuring sales folks from the top salesperson to the bottom salesperson in terms of their revenue, and we're measuring 24 sales traits. We're measuring effective traits like purposeful argumentation and thinking outside the box, and also overextended qualities, which is where you guys go when they're pressured or stressed. Overextended qualities like conceding or analysis paralysis. Now, let's look at the results of what this table is telling us. So we look at this across the 6 sales stages. So we're looking at 24 traits on the outside, 6 sales stages on the inside. Now, don't expect you to understand all this. Just be confident that we understand this and we can show you the results. So here's what the top traits are for this particular group as a team. You can see their top traits are competitor savvy, voice of reason, thinking outside the box, purposeful argumentation, and stimulating ideas. And the interesting thing about this is that 3 of these things the team are best at are influencing traits. Traits like being the voice of reason, having a purposeful argument, and stimulating ideas. So these 3 particular influencing traits are what this team is best at. Let's ask ourselves the question, what happens when this team is overextended or when they're stressed? What happens to the team? So what does happen to the team when they're overextended or stressed? And let's remind ourselves, sales teams are likely to be some of the most stressed teams in your organization. They have to be stressed because they've got that revenue number in front the whole time they're working. So let's look at these overextensions. The 5 overextensions are they're overwhelmed, they give too much, they have creative overload, they have acquiescing follow through, and a conceding close. Now, you wonder why they're conceding, and you think, well, is that because they don't understand the value proposition well enough and therefore they concede? Is it because they're not prospecting well enough and that means they're not closing the right people? That's what we need to find out. But the other great question to ask, or to get answered if you like, not just to ask, is what do our top performers have in common at a granular level? We looked at this 7-member team and saw there were 2 in particular that were high performers. How do we know they were high performers? Because we compared their traits to revenue. Here's the 5 traits those 2 top performers had in common. Really interesting stuff. You can see it was enthusing. The top performers excelled at generating excitement and belief in the product value proposition. There you go. Drink more Kool-Aid. Convincing. They demonstrated a strong ability to address customer concern and build a compelling case. They had a decisive close and they engaged with empathy. They had a clear understanding of the customer's needs, challenges, and fostered trust and connection. There you go, that empathy word again. This idea that what the clients are looking for is someone who has a unique understanding of their needs and their environment. But it's not just all good news. You think, well, what are we worst at? Now, you might have got a clue a bit earlier because there's a big planning gap in this team. Now, maybe your guys don't need to plan at all. You've got CSMs or marketing people or sales support people that do all the planning, but there is some planning that salespeople need to do. And here are the traits that they were weakest at, and they're all planning traits. Let's look at these. It's gathering data, taking the time to thoroughly research potential clients and their specific requirements, methodical prospecting, developing a systematic strategy for identifying and qualifying leads. In other words, translating leads into opportunities, discerning assessment, critically evaluating opportunities to avoid pursuing unqualified leads. So a lot of this gets down to what I call the sales playbook or the opportunity playbook, which is really crucial. So that's just some examples of how we analyze this particular team, which leaves huge opportunities for the team to understand what they're best at doing well and teach it to the rest, and also what they're not doing well, what this team's not doing well, and how we can bolster this up. And because we're comparing the traits to revenue, the assumption is as we replicate the traits in the high performers, we're going to get more high performance right across the business. So if you're looking for sales growth, profitable sales growth, this is an excellent tool to consider. If you'd like to know more, reach out to me, Peter at peteranthonyconsulting.com. I'd love to talk to you.